Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug, and we are actually re-recording this video. If you were unfortunate enough to see the first version, you may have realised the sound was completely messed up, so thank you very much for letting me know. So I'm going to re-record it and explain everything, but this time you'll be able to hear me, so you know, that's a novelty. So this is say day 2 of patch 13, and this is the Zealot, and we're fiddling around with the talents again. So what have we done? We've added Sustained Assault and Faithful Frenzy for melee attack speed and melee damage, stacking 5 times, which is always good. But what we are trying out, which is something a little bit weird, we're actually adding Backstabber for 20% damage on melee backstab hits, because we're moving so fast and the hordes are so ridiculously big now. A lot of our wide swings are hitting things that aren't looking at us. So this isn't a guaranteed plus 20% damage all the time, but with the amount of stuff going on, it's going to be quite a big increase overall. And we're working with this is Scourge. So this is a bit of a weird talent, but stay with me on this. We don't care about the bleed. What we care about is the melee hits on bleeding enemies grant 10% critical chance for 3 seconds, stacking 3 times. And what we're doing with that is we're combining that with Fury of the Faithful, which we dash forward, replenishing 50% of toughness and gaining 20% attack speed. Yum, yum, yum. But your next melee hit gains plus 25%. I can only assume that is damage, and is a guaranteed critical hit. So we're pretty much always using Fury of the Faithful, charging around. And when we do charge, the first hit we do is going to be a crit, which is then going to land that on it, which is giving us more crit. And we're also combining that with Blazing Piety, which gives us more crit. You see where I'm going with this? Lots of crit. So the entire point of this is we're trying to stack up as much crit as we can at all times. So this isn't going to be wildly useful against your bog standard Poxwalkers and, you know, the other drudge they're flying about. But against these chappies, the Crushers, the Bulwarks, the Gunners, and the monstrosities and bosses, this can be really helpful, because for one, you can see which way these things are pointing, so we can get the 20% increased backstab speed, backstab damage, sorry. And also the radius for backstabs isn't what you'd think, being only here. It actually starts about here. So you've got about a 180-degree arc from shoulder to shoulder where backstabs actually land. So basically, shield, not shield, and backstab start about there. So maybe 150-degree arc at the back, but it isn't directly. You don't have to be right there. You do have some wiggle room on it. And we're mostly going to be using this for bosses. So because we don't have thrust, and if you don't know what thrust is, I will quickly show you. 15% power based on charge time of the attack, stacks up 3 times, so that is quite a big power boost for us, which you'll be able to use on the hammers. With the Eviscerator, we don't have that, but we do have an enormous amount of crit, which is going to be boosting our damage. So I'm not saying this is guaranteed to increase damage, but it does seem to work from the playtesting I've done. But the downside to this, and there is a downside, to get these 2 abilities, we are losing out on Until Death and Holy Revenant. But if you've been playing this game for a while, you will notice that Holy Revenant has been nerfed significantly. So Until Death still does exactly what it used to. Invulnerability for 5 seconds occurs every 2 minutes. But we can no longer generate our entire health pool back during those 5 seconds. We can only regenerate 25%. So it is quite a big nerf to it. But if you wanted to play this build safer, you can take these two and drop Backstabber and Scourge, but Until Death and Holy Revenant. And just to go over the build again, this is mostly focusing on the Eviscerator and the Flamethrower, though you can throw in different weapons with it. It pretty much works with everything. But this sort of loadout I've found works really well with it. So we'll just go through the talents just so you can all see them quite clearly. Grabbing the Immolation Grenade, heading down the right side of the tree, picking up Benediction, grabbing Fury of the Faithful, grabbing these 3 keystones as they're all very, very good, and coming straight down here for Blazing Piety. And we're grabbing the right side as we don't want these, because this is a very solo build, and you know, we're not building for a team at this point. We're building for a solo player. There are lots of little things you can do to make team builds work really well, and in some upcoming builds I will show you how to cobble together some really complementary builds, shall we say. But these are more focused on solo queuing, solo play. Yeah, slightly different to the day one build, but not too much. As I said, you can take these 2 points out and put them back into here if you feel more comfortable with slightly more survivability, but you don't have to. These two seem to work really well combined with Fury of the Faithful and Blazing Piety. We just have a ridiculous amount of crit, and it's quite funny. Still, I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope this helps, and if it has, let me know. And if you have any other, you know, different iterations of the build, please let me know. I'd love to see them. And you know, if you've liked the content on the channel so far, like, subscribe, hit the little bell for notification. It really helps us out. And until next video, I shall see you all again later.